My name is Daniel Teruggi. I'm Argentinian born, living in France for the last 47 years. I made all my professional life there. I'm originally a musician, a composer, an electroacoustic composer or electronic composers. There are several ways of naming it. And my life has been all around music and at some point archives. I started working in France in 1980 in a small research group called the Musical Research Group, which was founded in 1958. So I became director of that group in 1997. Now this small group, about 15 people, were a department of a very large institution called INA, Institut National de l'Audiovisual. And at a certain point, you know, in big companies, they're always reorganizing the organigram to have, put this here, put this here. The musical research group got attached to the research department, research and experimentation department. So at one point, the director of this department moved out, and they proposed me to be the director. And my thought was, instead of having somebody stupid on top of me, let's have myself on top of me. So there I became director of research and innovation in a sector which was totally technical, dealing with preservation, with metadata, with annotations, with information extraction, with the restoration. I didn't know much. I have a scientific background. I studied physics for 3 years in Argentina. And little by little, I became acquainted with all these new problematics. And they got into my blood, and I made them mine. And I worked there for 15 years until I retired from both the musical group and the research some 5 years ago. I once said that my objective was that one day we would take a film roll and read it without opening it. That was my technological objective. It's not possible, but it's not impossible. So, and this is where the extraordinary experience of the European projects and the fact of being near a community of archive owners who had the similar problems brought a very large understanding of where the issues were and how maybe we could move on. Presto is a series of projects. Actually, there were 4 Presto projects: Presto, Presto Space, Presto Prime, and Presto for You. It started in 2001 and ended in 2014. But probably the first 7-8 years were the most incredible, I would say. So I wasn't there at the beginning with Presto, but it was started by INA, BBC, and RAI, which are also the founders of FIAT. And with this very simple statement, we are dealing with mass digitization with technologies of almost the 19th century. And this way we will never advance. So the idea is how we could preserve all the analog material faster, better, and cheaper. That was the aim. Now, in order to attain this, it implied different sectors of research. One, and that was the most attracting, is inventing or developing new machines with technologies that would accelerate the process of dealing with tapes or videos or film. And so that was really the chunk, and it was the most visible part. In many European projects, you don't see much, or you see a website. Here, there were real sturdy machines with sometimes, let's say, unexpected possibilities, like editing the splices in film automatically without human intervention, these kind of things. So it's high robotic system. So that was the bulk. But then there was another part, which was how do we organize a preservation process? Where are the difficult points that need to be brought down, accelerated, and moved? That was huge. That was a huge part. We didn't realize it at the beginning. Then there was, of course, all that was related to restoration, bringing the original quality of a document, and finally all that was metadata extraction and publication. So all this was a huge chain, and with different sectors, it was a huge project, almost 10 million euros at that time, with 36 partners. It was really impressive. And it, most of all, it introduced a state of mind. Okay, we may be able to do things. We may be able to accelerate the process. There were very important outputs, machines of course, but while industrializing the process of preservation, we managed to bring prices down by 70%. What would cost 100 now costed 30. And this had a huge impact on the community. And there's a partner here called Memnon, who always says, we took the idea of the factory, for preservation factory, from the Presto Space project. Then we moved to digital preservation, which was another nightmare, mainly for old digital contents. So the same kind of processes with much more technical issues like integrity, checking the integrity and the quality, defining standards to understand quality, and also giving strong indications on how to move on preservation and migration mainly, how to migrate the different theories of migration, and to establish rules that are now being applied everywhere. And then finally, Presto for You was opening that information, that knowledge, and inquiring on totally different communities of users, from, I don't know, film producers to personal archives. What are you doing with your tapes, with your photos? Are you doing anything? If ever you wanted to do something, what are the choices? What are the issues? So all these things were covered on all these periods. I think we lived a wonderful moment, mainly the years 2000, when Europe was really concerned about audiovisual preservation. And we made a lot of lobbying at a national level, at an international level, in order to obtain funds and a consciousness of what was going to happen. We even issued in 2013 an advertising message to all the community and to European managers. If we haven't digitized analog material before 2025, what has not been done will be lost. We're not far from that date. We said that almost 10 years ago, and it's still true. Even if there are new things coming up little by little, but the reality is that most of what has not been digitized will probably never be digitized. So there was a wonderful moment with wonderful partners, with great friends I find in this conference all the time. The first conference I went to was in London, 2001 or 2. No, probably 2001. Yes, I had just became director of research a couple of months before, so they kind of took me there to where I met people, I was introduced to people. This is Daniel Teruggi, the new director. I didn't know anybody, I didn't know anything, but it was amusing. I remember some people I met that after I continued meeting. That was 2002, that was more than 20 years ago. It's a generation that's already no more there in the FIAT community. So that was my first. And then going to, little by little, starting going to meetings, to presentations, and to discover this wonderful world.